can help change the minds of parents that have refused drops for their children. Dr. Shahab Hashim is part of the UNICEF team that's been targeting leaders of mosques in high-risk areas of Pakistan. He's just returned from this weekend's meeting in Balochistan.
They are doing mosque announcements, telling the people here to vaccinate their children. This is new initiative. Now they will be talking about polio campaign, polio drops, and the routine immunization in general.
Despite attacks on health workers, polio vaccination is successful. UNICEF workers hope this new initiative will further increase vaccination rates and lead to the elimination of the disease altogether.
You're listening to the BBC World Service. Still to come in the newsroom, the row between South Korea and Japan over UNESCO status. But first, David has the headlines this hour.
Vote counting is underway in the Greek bailout referendum, with early results suggesting people have said no to the terms recently offered by its international creditors. The US Secretary of State, John Kerry, has said a deal on Iran's nuclear program is close but not certain, with several difficult issues remaining. American-led airstrikes on the Syrian city of Raqqa are reported to have killed at least 20 Islamic State militants. And the newest member of the British royal family, Princess Charlotte, has been christened with water from the River Jordan.
The president of FIFA, the governing body for world soccer, Sepp Blatter, says that the presidents of France and Germany tried to exert political pressure before the World Cup was awarded to Russia and Qatar. Mr. Blatter is being investigated over corruption allegations, but told a German newspaper he was tired of taking the blame. Roland Bucher is a Swiss MP who's been campaigning to hold FIFA accountable. I asked him why he thought Mr. Blatter was saying this now.
It might be true, or it is because he's under pressure and he's a new media advisor who tells him to say things like this. Sounds very strange that he's saying things like this now.
You say it sounds very strange. What do you think it tells us about the vote?
Well, first of all, it tells us that Mr. Blatter is really under pressure. He won't be able to leave our country, except maybe to Russia, but not to other countries like Austria, England, France, or wherever. And it shows, well, if it is true what he says, he shall prove it, and then it's good, and we have proof that something was wrong. But just telling things like this in strange, exclusive interviews doesn't really lead anywhere.
Interesting, he says he's tired of taking the blame for something over which he had no control. It suggests that more might be coming out about what he has to say about this.
I'm sure that more will be coming out, but I'm sure it will be coming out because other people speak. Or if he says saying something, he shall say what he has to say and not just to make this strange announcement.
What do you think is going to happen next? Because after all, he is being investigated over corruption allegations.
The Swiss public prosecutor has been starting to do his work, and he seems to be very serious. He's just made a press conference where he said that more than 50 banking relations are really watched very closely, and maybe he knows or seems to know that there is pressure even on him. I'm not sure if there's a strategy anymore. It seems really to be that he's struggling and just giving out bits and pieces. He's done a few exclusive interviews in the last few days. Probably the most important thing to him seems to be the fact that he can divert from his own problems.
This is something Roland Bucher is going to a short time ago. Now, in just over 4 hours, Japan played the USA in the Women's Football World Cup. The game in Vancouver is a repeat of the 2011 final. Japan won that one 3-1. On the line from Vancouver is the BBC sports reporter Caroline Rigby. Caroline, what's the atmosphere?
Well, it's certainly building here. We've seen for the last few days, actually, particularly USA fans walking around the street wearing football shirts with the players' names on the back. We're just across the border from America here, and Seattle is the closest city over in the USA, and some of the key players in the USA team actually play for Seattle Reigns. So a lot of fans have come across the border to see them play, even just to be in the city to support their team. And of course, it's just one day after the 4th of July. That was yesterday here in Canada. So, the party started there and it's gone into tomorrow. But don't be fooled, there'll certainly be some vocal Japanese fans here too. They've been supporting their team throughout the tournament. It's growing in Japan, and like you say, they won the last World Cup, so they'll certainly be hoping for another win this time around.
This tournament has got a lot more coverage than previous ones, hasn't it? Is it being seen really as a turning point for the women's game?
Yeah, we saw a big development in the last World Cup in Germany, record attendance figures, record crowd in many of the matches. And this one, again, they wanted this to really be the pinnacle of the Women's World Cup, really launch it into the rest of the world. This is a bigger tournament than we've ever seen before. So not only more teams and players, but that means more coverage around the world, more countries tuning in, more global regions tuning in to see the different teams play. The semi-final between the USA and Germany, which I was at in Montreal earlier this week, that saw the biggest TV audiences in American soccer history for a men or women's World Cup semi-final. So that kind of gives you a scale of how much impact this tournament is having.
I think I heard a young fan there in the background. Is this a sellout?
It is a sellout. It's been a sellout for a while, actually. I'm sure had it not have been a sellout, it would have easily been, because the USA just have so many fans. I mean, pretty much all their games have been a sellout, even though, of course, Canada are the hosts. But yeah, this has been a sellout for a while in BC Place in Vancouver, the stadium. It's a huge bowl. It creates a really great atmosphere in there, so it should be a brilliant, brilliant atmosphere for the final.
Well, Caroline, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who's going to win?
I think the USA. They say...
no, that's it. We have to leave it there. No qualifications. Caroline and Ricky there in Vancouver. Now, more than 20 sites in Japan, which represent the country's industrial revolution, have been awarded World Heritage status. The decision by the United Nations Cultural Agency, UNESCO, is controversial after South Korea made several objections. We'll get more from our regional editor for Asia Pacific, Michael Bristol, who's with me in the studio. Tell us about these sites.